start recording, and let's get this show on the road. So, Takayasu, it's no secret, another horrible collapse. So close to winning, and then he decides, I'm gonna lose to Shodai, and Abi, and Wakatakakage twice. We're not doing song requests right now. I can't play music because I'm going to be posting this to YouTube. So at the end of the stream, I'll do Lady. Just remember to redo that. Yeah, so obviously Takayasu, very disappointing in his in the end of his performance, but he did very well in the very beginning and for a majority of the tournament. So let me pull out my epic pen so I can start drawing on the screen like a funny man. It's true, she can invade the stream if she wants to. But yes, day one. Let me turn down the volume on this. Day one, we have Takayasu versus Okinoumi. Stats on this one: heavily in favor of Takayasu. He is 16, or rather was 15-5 in the head-to-head. So, how we usually do these breakdowns is we'll watch it at full speed, and then after watching it at full speed, we will do a step-by-step breakdown of the match. If it even is that complicated, I'm gonna try to be better at the pencils. Blue is gonna be for the guy we're covering. Yellow or pink, or whatever other color is going to be for the guy that we are not covering. So, how does this first match go for Takayasu? Catches Okinoumi with the outside right on the belt. Okinoumi with a inside left, really stopping the charge from Takayasu, but now Takayasu locking in the grip on the outside right, inside left. Okinoumi trying to go for the throw, but Takayasu standing too strong against that assault, and it is going to be the Takayasu win. And right there, Unknown Origin remembers to resubscribe, which is something you all should do, whether you subscribe to my Twitch channel or my YouTube channel. So, main question is, does Takayasu look really good in this first match? I would argue not really. I thought it was going to be a lot more dominant, but straight from the Tachi-ai we could see he kind of gets his game plan right there. Really nice front step with that right leg into, that right outside, which he actually doesn't get this initial grip. He has to, he loses it and then has to regain the grip, but here he does still have a good position here. He's the one leaning forward. He's the one charging forward, whereas Okinoumi is the one being stood up against the assault. So, from this point, oh, come on, trash can. So from this point, it's just a matter of keeping Okinoumi standing up, but Okinoumi actually does a good job at leaning back down forward because Takayasu takes the time to re-grab the belt there. So now that he has the belt locked in, that does give him an advantageous position, but at the same time, relenting in his assault allowed Okinoumi back into it, because if he had just kept on pushing forward with the hand to the chest, then he probably would have just had Okinoumi to the edge. But because he takes the time to slow it down, re-grab the belt, which is still within his usual style, he manages to have it slowed down, and Okinoumi actually charges back into it. And now we can see they have similar stances against each other, and you could argue Okinoumi has the upper hand here because he is the one who does have a slightly lower center of gravity. Like, you can see his shoulders are slightly lower, his hips are slightly lower than Takayasu's, his hips are up here. And now he's the one kind of getting stood up in this weird angle. But Takayasu has his legs out. He has this good wide stance like we mentioned Wakatakakage usually has. And Okinoumi has the same thing. So they both have these really wide, really stable stances. And the question is just going to be who is going to be able to move the other more efficiently. Now, we can't see the type of grip that Okinoumi has on the outside, but his inside left is very inefficient compared to what Takayasu might have, because the inside right is up here in the armpit, which is usually something you want to do when you want your opponent to let go of your belt, or to keep his arm up and away from the belt in the first place. But because Okinoumi was a little too late to that party, this inside right or this inside left would do a lot more damage if it was gripped on the belt and able to control Takayasu, which you could see he opts for at this point. And similar to how Takayasu slowed it down to grab the belt, now Okinoumi, you just saw him rocking Takayasu back and forth. Now he slows it down and he tries to grab the belt. And when Takayasu feels that, that's when he starts to apply the pressure. He lifts, and you can see that he is indeed lifting. He has a good stance on this back, and he's using these arms to lift Okinoumi up and away from his belt. So now that he is lifting Okinoumi up and away from the belt, he can stabilize himself again, but again, Okinoumi has that strong stance with his legs. Takayasu, another strong stance too. This is pure Yotsu versus Yotsu. Every single little move means something and has an influence on these matches. And even though it's already the first match, I feel like I'm over-explaining it, but it really is that deep. Like, every single tiny little movement has enough meaning, like you'll soon see. Right here, Okinoumi does grab the belt, and he tries to use that leverage to go for a throw. And we'll see that in just a moment here. And we can also see, like, it was very subtle, but Takayasu, he moved his hand. He had it on the outer layer of the belt, but now he moved it deeper so he can grab all of the layers of the belt. And usually that allows you more control over your opponent, because that inner layer of the belt is the one that gets you more pressure. And yes, I can be sexy for you, Leaf. Let me just go to my avatar stuff. Oops. Thank you for derailing the stream again. But anyway, you can see that he digs that grip on the belt a little bit deeper as they slow it down yet again. Chest to chest, looks completely even at this point. And even though Okinoumi is the one driving forward, again, Takayasu, wide stance, leaning forward, not letting Okinoumi get that good push. Okinoumi tries to use the leverage to go for a throw here, because you could see his grip is very tight in on that left inside left. But Takayasu, he's hopping over, like doing these little bunny hops on this foot, stays stable somehow. Because, I mean, it's not like Okinoumi is no slouch. He has a lot of strength too. Takayasu stays stable on those feet. Again, you can see knees bent out, toes bent out. Very wide, very stable stance. And then here, after Okinoumi stops the attack on the throw, this is where you see he loses the grip on that outside left, and that's why he stopped that attack. Okinoumi lost the grip, not outside left, inside left. Okinoumi lost the grip on the inside left, and that lost him all of his leverage. So now Takayasu has all of the pressure, and he uses that to throw Okinoumi over to the side. So, again, a short match, but a lot was going on. And it was actually back and forth quite even up until that last mistake by Okinoumi, where in going for the throw, he loses the grip, and it is over as fast as it starts. Really disappointing stuff. Oh, wow. We skip straight to Takayasu versus Sadanoumi. So he is running through the gauntlet of Umis right now. Recovering from COVID and an injury before that. Nobody has won any. So let's skip ahead through this commercial. Versus Sadanoumi. He is actually undefeated against Sadanoumi. After this match, he is 6-0. But up until this, I mean 5-0. Let's see how Takayasu exerts this pressure over his opponent. 5-0 in the head-to-head. Oh, screen froze, but we could still hear what's happening. Right, the screen froze during this match. We get to watch the replay, though. Alright, so let's watch the replay of the match at a slower speed. But Takayasu gets just inside with those arms going for the Yotsu, pulls Okino or Sadanoumi down into more Yotsu pushing up, which is, or Oshizumo rather. I haven't done sumo in so long, I'm forgetting my terms now. But the fact that Takayasu was going for some Oshizumo is quite unusual. Actually gets himself into this unfavorable position. But he locks in the inside left. Not even, he loses the grip. But Sadanoumi slips forward and allows Takayasu to get the win. So, because we are watching the replay, we'll be able to take it slower. But like I just said, it's really unusual that Takayasu is going for Oshizumo when he is usually, the pinnacle of Yotsuzumo. He is very, very skilled in the Yotsuzumo. Loves the Yotsuzumo, loves to go 3 minutes long just gripping his opponent's belt until they get too tired to move, and then he just tosses them to the side. But this time he actually opts for Oshizumo. And you can see he gets this awkward forearm to the face. That's not a very good position to have your hand in, because you could see it looks like, oh, he's applying pressure to the face, but you could kind of see the way he has his wrist turned. That's not, like, this is not actually applying that much pressure, because it's the way his arm is like bent up and then in, it's not applying pressure in the same way that if his arm was in and then going up. You know what I mean? So already off to not a very good start, but, Okinoumi does have the wrist to the face. How does he respond to this? Well, he uses this outside right to try to control Takayasu, the outside left as well, as while Takayasu continues going for this Oshizumo push. And then Takayasu takes a step back and slaps the hands down, tries to go for a Hatakikomi, slapping down the back, but Sadanoumi was ready for it. You could see his stance is perfectly resolute. His stance is fine, whereas Takayasu, he's the one moving backwards now, and after this attack fails, you can see Takayasu tries to redouble his efforts, lowers his head again, and then, goes head to the face of Sadanoumi. And this is where you might think, okay, now Takayasu is going to be the one in control, because, just look at these positions. Takayasu leaning forward, has all of the pressure going straight into the chest. He has the hands coming up inside, and even if he's not going to grab the belt, he can still apply pressure to the chest. Sadanoumi's arms are not really doing much up on these shoulders. Like, what is he going to do? Is he going to try to go for the pull and slap down? I don't think you can do that against Taco Bear, especially when he's already ready to move forward in this attack. So the follow-up to this position is actually not Takayasu charging forward, but he stands up and attacks with more Oshizumo, which that is when Sadanoumi goes for the pull, but Takayasu, ready for it, shuffles forward, turns to the side, and now Sadanoumi is the one on the attack. He didn't exactly bounce off the Tawada, but he was able to shift his momentum back forward again, and now Takayasu, after getting, a good thrust to the chest, brings it back down, because you could see the way he brought down his shoulders. He was standing up here, windmills his arm outside, brings his entire body down, so now he's meeting his opponent lower, which, again, is usually where he likes it, so I'm still kind of confused as to why he's doing Oshizumo in the first place. And you can see he's trying to get his hands inside, but Sadanoumi is the one beating him inside, especially on this left side. This, however, is good for Takayasu because, and this is an awkward looking position, but this shows that Takayasu does have some control, reaching down and in, gripping the belt with that inside left hand, and he's pulling Sadanoumi's arm up into his armpit to make that inside left from Sadanoumi completely ineffective. So now, from this position, you should be able to reason that Takayasu is going to be the one in control because he has the grip on the belt. And he is the one with the inside grip, which is usually the better grip. There are exceptions like Tochinoshi and outside left, but when you're in a position like this, like, he doesn't even need to go for a throw or anything, and you could see, like, he's kind of pulling the arm back, so he could pull push with that left arm and try to throw, or he could just try to stalemate like this and just wait for the long game because he does have the better position here. What happens is, after getting in this position, Sadanoumi is trying to wiggle his hips away from Takayasu, which Takayasu, sensing that, doesn't want to lose this left inside, so he tries to get the right outside, but doesn't work, and immediately Sadanoumi wiggle away into the push forward. Oops. He tried to, wiggle his hips away, and then in the Takayasu leaning forward, he's rocking him back and forth, recharges chest to chest, and even though that left hand is still up in the armpit, Takayasu now, this outside right is doing nothing. So whereas before the outside right was controlling the arm, now it's dangling in the air doing nothing, and Sadanoumi is the one using that to his advantage. So very quickly, just back and forth, switching the advantage bar into Sadanoumi's favor here, where he goes on a pretty good and aggressive push. You'll see that in just a moment, because now Takayasu was the one struggling to get this outside right, and we see in this moment Sadanoumi wiggles those hips away, makes Takayasu lose the inside left while he is trying to slap for the outside right of the belt. Takayasu just trying to withstand the assault, looking a little lost in how to really approach the oncoming defense. So we see him rebalance his legs. Like, you could see that little hop forward he did with his left leg to try to get some stability. And he has his left leg back, toe pointing out this way. So force generated is going to be against the higher surface area. A little bit harder to push, more friction. It's a science. And now he stands back up, recontrols that inside left, or at least tries to regain control. Whereas Okinoumi, we could see that right hand reaching for the belt inside, or Sadanoumi, sorry, I get them mixed up all the time. Sadanoumi trying to regain control from here. Where he likes to be. And he kind of does, because now Takayasu trying to wiggle away from that right hand grip, which Sadanoumi does indeed lose that grip, and now, sorry for the artifacting, locked into this Yotsuzumo. Sadanoumi wiggles away yet again. Takayasu loses the grip, tries to get the outside right, but you can see Takayasu is blocking it just barely. Sadanoumi cannot get a grip on that right hand. And so, from this moment, Sadanoumi opts to go for the chest-to-chest push, and I think we can see him, he kind of loses his footing because Takayasu starts to turn him as he pushes. So we could see that again. This right foot, he's going to move forward with it, and then his right foot is never going to come back down. And you could see, because Takayasu digging that left shoulder in, Sadanoumi going for the push chest to chest, and as he lifts this right leg, Takayasu starts leaning forward against that momentum. So Takayasu pushing himself forward down this way to try to counteract the push forward from Sadanoumi, because Sadanoumi was leaning himself up, pushing forward chest to chest to try to, get more surface area like that and push forward with a lower center of gravity, but it works against him because as he takes the step forward, Takayasu sees the opportunity to attack, pushes forward, so now this right leg goes whoo up into the air. Sadanoumi loses all of his footing, all of his stability. He's on one leg now, and from here, it's an easy throwdown for Takayasu. Takayasu getting the throw. Really well done from Papayasu there. It's unfortunate that we couldn't see the full speed match because of, encoding error or whatever on Abema's side, but overall, two matches, like these first two matches were wins for Takayasu, but they weren't convincing wins. In the same way I was saying about Wakatakakage, where his first few matches were, strong and they were good, but they weren't like the matches of a Yusho winner or a Jun Yusho winner. So after seeing these first two matches, not really convinced that Takayasu is back in the tournament at this point. Kind of just trucking along and seeing what kind of performance Takayasu is going to be putting up as he goes into day 3 against Chiyoshoma, who is also 2-0. all fronts. As he trimmed his back hair. It's possible that so Takayasu, I think he's still looking shaky, but you know, his mind for sumo is still there. Being able to analyze those very, very quick and snappy back and forths, just know what his next move is really good. Got some good pulls. Nice. You can show me later. No, you got that full art Triland. That's easily gonna be like $15, $16 when things settle down. Yes, up against Chiyoshoma, who, like I said, at this point was also 2-0. Takayasu's head-to-head coming into this match was 3-1. How does he do it against the Henka specialist here? Reset. Takes forever to start this friggin' match. Chiyoshoma waiting for Takayasu. Alrighty. Before he goes down fully. Let's see what these mind games have to offer. Chiyoshoma taking the charge. Takayasu simply pushing forward and pushing right through Chiyoshoma. And I'd rather watch this again at full speed because, you know, that's it's really the only way to watch it. You gotta watch sumo at full speed. But again, you can see, like, as Takayasu pursues Chiyoshoma, he's keeping his feet wide, he's keeping his stance wide, he's keeping his stability, which is the most important thing in sumo, making sure you're not going to be the one to be moved. Whereas Chiyoshoma is constantly hopping to the side, hopping backwards, and simply overpowered completely. Like, he didn't stand a chance. Takayasu with a very strong push and a very easy. I think it was just a straight up, like, complete mismatch in power. Takayasu, the first match that he actually looks really good in. Let's take it a bit slower now. Let's see what these mind games have to offer. Alright, they meet at the Tachi-ai, and Takayasu, you can see, dips his shoulder to the right so he can get good pressure on the, like, this outside rib cage. So he dips the shoulder and he scoops up so he can apply pressure to Chiyoshoma's rib cage. And, like, looking at Chiyoshoma's angle of attack here, this left leg is forward and he was ready to keep going forward, but this right foot is in the air and not really doing much, which is how he gets knocked off balance in the first place. So you could easily say that this match was won at the Tachi-ai, because it really was. Takayasu, feet firm in the ground, knees giving him that wide stance, leaning forward. Look at these goddamn hammies. Look at these quads. Look at these glutes. And we can see flabby Chiyoshoma over here not doing anything to keep his stability or his footing down. What's up, Aiden? Yes, I have. And then from here, now Chiyoshoma is the one that has to recover, and he hops his foot down to the right. But at this point, Takayasu is still applying all of the pressure. He has those elbows in, and that's really the important thing. It's important in lifting weights. It's important in pushing force, elbows in. And even though the hand isn't really in an optimal position, just having these elbows in is already a better spot because Chiyoshoma has to bring those hands up to try to counter. But similar to how Takayasu just had his forearm against Sadanoumi's face in the last match, this is kind of what's going on here. Chiyoshoma is putting this up defensively just to try to get in Takayasu's way. And from here, Chiyoshoma actually hops backwards to try to slap down the arms of Takayasu. But like I said earlier, Takayasu's footing stable. Like, that was a big step, and usually big steps like that are a little risky in sumo. But because Chiyoshoma is on the retreat here, tactical retreat, trying to go for the slapdown, Takayasu can be afforded to take that big step and regain his center, regain that, that stable footing. And from here, we can already see again, he's lifting up this foot. He's got it pointed, knowing where Chiyoshoma is going to go, as Chiyoshoma, like, again, his footing is not stable at all. He's not trying to take a head-on fight against Takayasu. He's hopping around this dohyo. He's shuffling around, pushed all the way back to the edge immediately. And at this point, I think his only chance is trying to deflect Takayasu, who is charging straight ahead at him. And again, The feet tell everything. The way the hips are pointed tell everything. They tell you exactly where he's going to go. He is coming exactly this way. And Chiyoshoma's only hope would be to try to deflect him to the side, but it is not going to be because he hops into it and Takayasu just charges straight through him. So, reeling straight from the Tachi-ai was Chiyoshoma. Just lost it straight off the Tachi-ai. Very strong push and a very, very strong win for Takayasu here. And truly his first good win of the tournament. I was going to say great and good at the same time, so it kind of sounded like I swallowed my throat while I said the G. But you get what I'm saying here. First, very good win for Takayasu on the day that he fights what most would consider a weaker opponent in Chiyoshoma. But hey, Chiyoshoma is this high in the rankings for a reason. He is no slouch himself. He just looked like one against Takayasu. So moving into the next match is going to be Takayasu versus Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka, fan favorite as one of the rising stars of sumo. He is on the younger end of things. Let's see, it might be after this match. Oh wait, I saw it. Excuse me for a moment. No, where was it? There it is. This. There it is. That hat right there. From a defunct baseball team, and it's so stylish. Look at this hat. It's so cool. This guy has classy taste right there. I want that hat. And it is $80 on eBay. It's such a nice hat. Alright, but anyway, let's try to find Takayasu's match versus Kotonowaka. Here it is. Kotonowaka 3-0 at this point. 24 years old. So damn. He is looking great. He has been just outside of the leader race for 2 tournaments in a row. And the Banzuke did just drop today. So I haven't actually taken a formal look at it yet. But that is something we can talk about after this breakdown. If people are going to stick around for that. But here we are, Takayasu versus Kotonowaka. At this point, they had only a handful of matches against each other. 2 real matches, 1-1, so it could realistically go either way. Want to examine the books for more finals? Good luck, Murgle. I do hope you have good luck in your finals. Yeah, here we are, Kotonowaka, young guy, rising star, really still coming into his own. And it's unusual to see how he did struggle most of last year, and now he's just on fire. He's just insane right now. On freaking fire. Coming into this match against Takayasu, both men are 3-0, so not exactly an easy matchup for Takayasu here, especially when they don't have that much history against each other. So, got to see what's going to happen between the veteran and the guy who wants to take his place. The Kotonowaka stands up at the Tachi-ai, and that seems to favor him because he does get the better push against Takayasu. Hands to the throat for Kotonowaka, but now Takayasu manages to muscle his way into that inside right on the belt. And Kotonowaka doesn't have a grip on the belt with that inside right. He is using that, lifting the arm technique to put Takayasu's hand into his armpit as he himself muscles in to get the right hand on the belt. And now we're locked in some good Yotsu. Kotonowaka can't switch the grip. Takayasu maintaining this superior position here, outside left, inside right, working it into the belt, trying to twist Kotonowaka back and forth so he can get into a more favorable position, try to throw Kotonowaka, but Kotonowaka's footing too stable. Now he has to get that hand to the chest, outside right this time now for Takayasu, and he finishes it off with a throw. So that was a great match. Like, that was just a great match from both men. And we get the Uwatenage. Like, at some point it sounded like I was looking at it from Kotonowaka's perspective. Takayasu versus Kotonowaka. But here we see Takayasu get low, get into the charge. But like I said, at full speed, Kotonowaka actually looked like he got the better push. We can see his right foot went out wide to catch Takayasu, and because he went out wide, a lot of the force was deflected just into the shoulder of Kotonowaka instead of taking the charge head on. So Kotonowaka now is attacking the side of Takayasu, which this is a very unfavorable position for him. We can see like shoulders, hips, square, arms going in this direction. Takayasu, he's completely caught off guard. We could see the way his hips are shaped, his knees are in line this way, his feet are in line this way, his shoulders are a little twisted. He is not ready for this attack from the side, so now he has to try to recover against it, which Kotonowaka's attack a little too slow, and he does manage to shuffle around these feet so he can square himself away and get into a better position to withstand the attack. Sure, he's not perfectly balanced. He's leaning to the side, whereas I would appreciate it if he was a little more square and centered against his opponent. But that was a very fast tachi. That was a matter of tenths of a second right here to get into this more favorable position. And right now, he still has Kotonowaka at his side. This is where we can see he's trying to, you see this pretty often against Oshizumo guys. They'll try to dig one of their feet forward very deep so that it's harder for them to move. So we can see Takayasu's left knee is being pushed forward, so Kotonowaka is going to have a more awkward time trying to move him, because when he has all of this force back on that leg, trying to catch all the stability, and then this front leg in the way of the potential assault, it does make it a little more awkward to push forward. And it does work for him to restabilize himself. Kotonowaka stops, or rather gets stopped in that good attack, and now Takayasu is the one on the push, but Kotonowaka also has a good wide stance, so Takayasu's push isn't as effective as it could be. So now they're at this arm's length type of Yotsuzumo, where they're not really thrusting at each other, so it's not Oshi, but they're not gripping each other's belt, they're just holding each other at an arm's length. And from there, you have to be careful about how your opponent is going to want to attack the belt. And from here, we can already see Kotonowaka opts to attack the face to try to get more leverage up underneath Takayasu so he can dictate how Takayasu moves. And that does get Takayasu off balance a little bit. And we could see arm being pulled up, Takayasu countering with that inside right to push Kotonowaka's arm up into the air as he tries to pull down the arm for the attack, but Takayasu doing a great job of defending against the assault, as now he counters. Instead of keeping Kotonowaka's arm up in the air, he pushes that arm to the back, trying to go around Kotonowaka's back so he can grab the belt, but Kotonowaka wiggles his hips away, and we could see his feet were like closer to here, and then he pushes them back, and in pushing back his feet, he pushes back his hips, they swing back a little bit, he throws it back, and doesn't let Takayasu grab the belt. So now Takayasu, you could argue he's in control right here because he has a more favorable inside right, and we can't really tell what's going on the other side, but then Kotonowaka makes the good decision to pull up that arm to get Takayasu to release the grip, and you can see he pushed his hips forward so he can get lower, like, I'll try to draw it out. He pushed his hips forward so he can bend his knees a little bit lower and then pull himself up to pull the arm up with him. So like a really small, swift move to get a little bit of an advantage back with that outside left. And now that makes Takayasu lose the grip. Takayasu still kind of in control though, because we can see Kotonowaka has the inside left on the belt, but Takayasu keeping that, or rather the inside right on the belt. Takayasu keeping the outside left, his elbow is still in. So we can kind of see that his elbow is in, which is forcing Kotonowaka to kind of have his arm in this awkward position where it's more straight than he would want it to be. Because, you know, when you have the grip on the belt, you want to be able to like generate some leverage by bending your arm, and then, you know, your entire body is like a lever system, pulleys and levers and all that kind of thing. You don't want it to be straight because you can't generate force with your arm like that. You'll tear out the tendons in your elbow. So with a straight arm like this on the belt, that does not give Kotonowaka much of an advantage. And now Takayasu, using this outside left, has to try to keep Kotonowaka uncomfortable while he tries to find a way to get that inside right back on the belt. And Kotonowaka, I would argue, is in control on at least the left side, or his left side rather. Takayasu's right, but Takayasu seems to be in much more control on that inside left, and you could see the hand on the belt, elbow inside, really making sure Kotonowaka can't do anything or try to gain an advantage with that inside right. So now Kotonowaka again swinging his hips forward, trying to get lower so he can get a little bit more leverage on the arm. And when we see Kotonowaka try to switch the grip inside, Takayasu immediately pulls him in chest to chest so he can't slip the arm between himself and Takayasu. So great block on that attempt at an attack. Kotonowaka left trying to recover from that failed attack, and he does because he has a fantastic stance. Nice wide stance right there. And this is expert Yotsuzumo right now. Every single one of these steps is expert. Takayasu, you can see him trying to twist his hips so he can pull Kotonowaka to the left. And you can kind of see it. He twisted his hips around so he can try to generate some force, pulling this shoulder back so he can use the grip on the belt to pull Kotonowaka this way, and then using that force, scooch his arm back onto the belt. So one full-bodied motion just to get a better position with that right arm, that right shoulder. But Kotonowaka doing a good job of blocking that with his left bicep, that left forearm right there. So Takayasu's attempt at a little bit of a recovery, completely blocked out. And now we see them chest to chest again. Takayasu does it again to try to get a better grip on the belt. Does it a third time. And this time, I think, was the charm because we see Kotonowaka at the same time lock in this outside left on the belt, which means he's no longer trying to keep Takayasu's inside right away. So now we have to wonder who has the better position if they're both locked into outside left, inside right. And just from what we're seeing right here, I would say Takayasu does, because he has this left elbow down and locked around the arm, limiting the movement of Kotonowaka's right arm, whereas Kotonowaka's left arm, you can see, is getting pushed out by the elbow of Takayasu. So this outside grip from Kotonowaka is not nearly as strong as you might think, even if he does lock it in on the back of the knot, because Takayasu can still, if you wanted to counter that grip, pull out the elbow and force Kotonowaka to lose the grip. Of course, that would mean giving up that inside right grip himself, which he probably doesn't want to lose. So a very delicate situation that they're both in right now, and that is exactly what happens. The next step, Takayasu pulls that inside right arm away, so Kotonowaka is forced to lose the grip on that outside left. And now Takayasu trying to force his hand back towards the chest, back towards the belt. Kotonowaka trying to control it with his hand. And again, expert Yotsuzumo throughout this entire match. Takayasu still the advantageous left outside because he has that elbow locked down and in. Kotonowaka can't do anything. Like, his pressure on that inside right is not nearly as great as you might think because he can't control it with his own elbow. His forearm is being locked straight by Takayasu's elbow, so he can't generate too much leverage. So right here we see Takayasu doesn't even need a hand on the belt. He's exerting full control over Kotonowaka as he pushes forward, gets that grip again on that outside right. Now, locking it in, like I was saying before, making sure Kotonowaka's inside left can't do much against the attack. And expecting the push back, he actually goes for the throw, which you can tell Kotonowaka wasn't really ready for by his footing, by his stance up against the Tawada. So a really quick decision from Takayasu there to not go for the push forward, but instead opt for the throw. And that's really just sumo sense. That is knowing what your opponent is doing and how to react against it. Because Takayasu could have gone for the traditional, like yorikiri, just swing the hips down, generate forward momentum, and try to push Kotonowaka out. But instead, he opts for using this inside right to pull Kotonowaka up and over and throw him to the side like a sack of potatoes. Double inside. Takayasu throwing him to the ground. What a man. So, even though Kotonowaka at the end there had double inside on the belt, it meant nothing because he couldn't generate any kind of power because Takayasu kept his elbows in, forcing the arms to stay straight from Kotonowaka and just exerting full control over the younger man. Still expertly fought on both sides, like a fantastic fight both ways. So, just very, very impressive, I gotta say. Really good match for both guys. Really good win for Takayasu right there. And, geez, we're only 5 matches in, and it's already been 40 minutes of recording. But let's see, Takayasu versus Takarafuji on day 5, and this is one that usually goes a long way because Takarafuji, he is a stamina match Yotsu guy. Takayasu, he's a stamina match Yotsu guy. I expected this match to go on forever, but if I remember correctly, it did not go on for 5 minutes like I expected it to be. So, Takarafuji simply struggled this entire tournament, whereas Takayasu, we know what happened to him. So, looking forward to seeing how this match goes in full speed, and I hope we're not here for another 20 minutes just breaking down this one match. Takayasu gets hands straight to the face of Takarafuji, gets him all the way to the edge, but Takarafuji, recovering into the middle of the ring, gets pulled down. So, definitely not the way that this head-to-head matchup goes. Because these two guys are probably the top guys for Yotsuzumo outside of, Terunofuji himself. So seeing this match go the way it does was definitely not what I expected, but we can see Takayasu going more for the Oshizumo, especially when he knows that Takarafuji very much so prefers Yotsuzumo. We can see forearm to the face, and what's most important is not just this forearm to the face coming in, but elbow in, hand to the shoulder, preventing Takarafuji from going for the grip on the belt on the outside. So, using the leverage on that inside hand, pushes it up into the face, and this is where he gets all of his advantage from. That one left hand straight to the face, forcing Takarafuji to move backwards, and already Takayasu has a massive advantage. He's the one pushing forward, keeping these elbows in. Takarafuji does not have an answer to this left hand assault to his own face, and it's only until Takayasu himself pulls the hand away that Takarafuji has an in, because now Takayasu trying to attack with the right hand to the face. Takarafuji deflects it. Takayasu tries to go low to pop Takarafuji back up, but Takarafuji survives the attack, and we can see inches away from losing right here. Feet on the Tawada, heel up in the air above the sand, and it's one of those usual things where when you commit too hard to an attack, it's kind of doomed to fail, because we can see Takarafuji slipping to the side. Takayasu, he's doing some weirdo dance over here, like ha-cha-cha-cha-cha. As Takarafuji does the shuffle to the side to try to avoid the attack, and we can see, just from these blue lines that are Takayasu's limbs, he is not balanced. He doesn't have his usual good stance. So that big step forward is not something you want to do that close to the edge. Takarafuji nearly pulls him out, and now Takarafuji on the attack. Takayasu has to catch him now, and now Takayasu is the one on the retreat because he committed so hard to that attack. Takayasu now getting pushed back chest to chest. He has the inside left around the back. The outside right isn't doing anything, but he does use that outside right to get some leverage up underneath the armpit, which is a very unusual position. Doing it like this to throw Takarafuji to the side, and instead of trying to get pushing pressure with this right hand, it looks like he's pulling Takarafuji down, because again, we just saw it happen to Takayasu. Now it's Takarafuji's turn. He's the one too ambitious on the assault, and he gets turned around by this big right hand of Takayasu. And now Takarafuji trying to go low, trying to hop to maintain that balance, but now he's leaning too far forward, and Takayasu is generating all the pressure down onto his back. So Takarafuji, his base is far behind him. This is where his base is. His center of gravity is back here. So being pushed forward like this, it's a lever. It's a seesaw. He's just going to go down while his butt goes up. So he has nowhere to go, butt down to the ground. Over ambitious on his own assault as well. And a very fast match from two men that you would least expect it from. So another decent win for Takayasu. Again, not a convincing win, because he does make the mistake of overcommitting to that attack at the edge and gets himself into danger as a result. But mistake for a mistake, eye for an eye. Takarafuji gets too far ahead of himself as well, gets slapped down, and Takayasu earns his 5th win. Day 6, we see him go up against Shimaneumi. So this probably happens before that top of the hour break, and indeed it does. Ooh, excuse me. So at this point, Shimaneumi is 2-3, and I've said it before on the live broadcast, and I'll say it again. I have no idea what Shimaneumi's style is. I don't pay attention to him. I don't think he's very notable. I don't think he's very impressive. He's never done anything to really catch my eye, except for that one miracle win against Terunofuji, where he staved off a losing record for one more day, then he goes and gets a losing record anyway, so it didn't even matter in the end, except for the Yusho race that Terunofuji probably won anyway. But you get what I'm saying. I can't tell you how he's going to match up against Takayasu. I think he's more into the Oshizumo. I don't actually remember that well. Circumstance that doesn't happen too often. Takayasu versus Shimaneumi. Takayasu taking the charge, getting that inside right under the armpit, and Shimaneumi really just couldn't do anything against the Tachi-ai. So we see straight off the Tachi-ai, big right foot forward from Takayasu. He's, again, leaning his shoulders down to the right so he can try to get more leverage on this right hand push to the chest. Really swinging his entire upper body into the assault onto the stomach of Shimaneumi. And Shimaneumi has nothing to do but give Takayasu that inside right to the chest. Takayasu simply pushing himself forward, these big strides forward. Shimaneumi just simply being outmuscled here. I think that's all it really is. Shimaneumi trying to lean forward in a way that could possibly stop Takayasu's momentum, but Takayasu just has a really, really strong push, and even standing up straight, it's mostly the leverage from his legs and the fact that these arms are inside applying pressure, making Shimaneumi's counter pressure negligible. It's really just winning off the Tachi-ai. You have to watch it at full speed again. Takayasu versus Shimaneumi. Takayasu catching Shimaneumi. The left hand of Takayasu doesn't really seem to do much from our camera angle. Shimaneumi's right, even though he has the right inside, is completely ineffective. Shimaneumi simply getting outmuscled right off the Tachi-ai. So, convincing win for Takayasu, 6-0. Coming into day 7, he goes up against Human Cannonball Hokutofuji. That's a little too late. Hokutofuji versus Takayasu. Hokutofuji 3-3, but usually he has really strong charges that makes it hard to deflect his Tachi-ai or to even catch his Tachi-ai. Takayasu, however, we see how strong and stable he is, and I feel like I'm saying that word a lot. If you were to make a word cloud of all of the words I say when I talk about, these sumo wrestlers and their wins, stable and stability would probably be one of the top 10 words. Because it really is just about how stable your stance is that allows you to control your own body, which allows you to control your opponent. So, Takayasu's stability, if he just withstands the charge of Hokutofuji, he most likely wins the match. And that is what he does. He withstands the charge. Hokutofuji is the one on the retreat now as they both opt for some Oshizumo. And Takayasu is going to take the win at full speed. And let's see it again. Hokutofuji, he just gets stonewalled at the charge and then has no follow-up. And it's because Takayasu is the one that exerts control with superior Oshizumo. So what happens right off the Tachi-ai, Takayasu really strong inside left elbow, straight to the chest of Hokutofuji to stop all momentum from the charge. And you can see Hokutofuji tried to get that right inside and high as well, but Takayasu blocks it completely. Like, Takayasu just counters the Tachi-ai. And in countering the Tachi-ai, now he can be the one to exert full control. And you might think from this still frame, oh, Hokutofuji is just going to charge forward. He's going to get this right hand to the stomach. He's going to lower the head into the chest and charge forward. But Takayasu stonewalls the attack by putting his left hand on the shoulder of Hokutofuji. So stopping all momentum with that hand, with that wrist, with that forearm, making it so that Hokutofuji simply cannot move forward. And you can see his feet are sliding back when trying to push too. Takayasu, withstanding the push, takes a big step back, maintains that stance, maintains that stability, and still controls Hokutofuji. I think he's controlling the right arm of Hokutofuji, or the left arm of Hokutofuji. We can't really see what's happening over on that other side, but because of Hokutofuji's inability to get a good charge forward, he instead goes for a step back, too far of a step back, because now he can't slap down Takayasu. We saw him attempt to slap down, and we could see those hands are still, you got that motion blur on right now, so his hands were going down, but it really just clipped the top of Takayasu's head, whereas you would want the pressure to be in the back and on the back of the head. So a really ineffectual attack from Hokutofuji there allows Takayasu, you can see he's leaping forward. He raises the hips and he is charging, jumping forward into this opponent. He went down and up, and he is an angry, raging bull right now. Leaping forward, manhandling Hokutofuji, hands to the face, and it's from this position, like, his footing a little too straight for my liking, but he immediately rectifies it as he continues attacking Hokutofuji. Hands to the chest, hands to the face, just perfectly executed windmill attacks too. Like, he thrust the arm forward, and now look at how high he's pulling it back for the next attack. He's doing the same thing with that left arm. He's going to pull it all the way back for another strong attack right there. And this is the kind of stuff you would see from Abi or Takakeisho, but Takayasu giving us a lesson in Oshizumo right here. Hokutofuji tries to slap him to the side, but Takayasu using that strong left foot forward, it's not even on the ground, but he just has way too much pressure going forward. Hokutofuji takes the loss and gets pushed out of the ring. So, another really convincing win for Takayasu right there. As we move past the halfway point of the tournament, go into day 8 where he fights the younger Waka brother, Wakamotoharu. about 6 foot. I'm taller. I like to imagine that Wakatakakage was only thinking of revenge for his brother when he defeated Takayasu twice. Oh, we can see coming into this match. This is a matchup that has never happened before, so not really knowing what to expect between Wakamotoharu and Takayasu. But as we've seen so far, Takayasu has had like 3 really convincing wins, and then 4, yeah, he won those matches type wins. Whereas Wakamotoharu impressing people from those middle Maegashira ranks 5 and 2. I honestly don't think, or I did not think he would be able to, climb as high as he is right now. But, he's looking hot in his own right in this tournament. So let's see how this matchup goes. They go at it. Takayasu getting lower, getting deeper, getting that inside left, outside right against Wakamotoharu, but the outside right not very effective. Inside left getting pulled up, but he has it on the belt. Wakamotoharu trying to dig that left shoulder deeper in against Takayasu's chest-to-chest assault. And like a mouse in a corner, Wakamotoharu is trying to make an escape. Takayasu not letting it happen, but he does lose the outside right. So good favor for Wakamotoharu here. Now Wakamotoharu loses that inside left on the belt, using his own quad muscle to block the grip on the belt. Takayasu pushes forward chest to chest inside left, giving him the advantage. Now he's going for the pull around and the throw down. So a little bit of an awkward finish, but that was really good chest to chest pressure right there. Really good Yotsuzuma. Like, honestly, above and beyond anything I would have thought Wakamotoharu would do in this match, coming into it. But here we see right off the tachi-ai, Takayasu trying to get the outside right on the elbow. Wakamotoharu kind of opting into it, gets the left hand to the chest. And we'll quickly see that Wakamotoharu does get turned around by Takayasu. Takayasu, we can see he's trying to square his body up against Wakamotoharu, who doesn't have all of his footing here. But as we will see, Wakamotoharu uses the leverage he does have on that back foot to pull Takayasu up into the air, make sure Takayasu can't get the outside right, and then he slides back, recovers, has all the leverage behind him, whereas Takayasu is now left wondering how he's going to continue this attack. And there we have Posture Princess in the back wearing a beautiful yellow dress, looking really nice on her. Takayasu opts to push it forward, simply with the power of his legs, chest to chest, inside left, outside right, not doing too much because Wakamotoharu's blocking with his own inside left. And they're pretty much just locked like this for the next 10 seconds or so, 10-15 seconds. But again, a lot happens. How you doing, Dark Nightmare? I hope you're having a good time. We are halfway through analyzing Takayasu's matches. So if you've missed any of this and you want to recatch the VOD, you can go to my YouTube channel where the rest of the footage is going to be uploaded. YouTube. And if you're watching from my YouTube channel, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So anyway, Takayasu pushing forward has Wakamotoharu at the edge here, and from here we're going to see a lot of little movements with these with the left hand inside on the belt from Wakamotoharu. We can't really tell what's happening on the far side. But we can kind of infer that they are trading these positions. Like, it's similar to that earlier match, Takayasu versus Kotonowaka. Trading, like, they both have favor with their own left hands, and it's just a matter of trying to get an advantage with those right hands. So we can see, after I get rid of this artifacting, Takayasu is turning around Wakamotoharu, but Wakamotoharu is blocking a lot of these attacks, and it looks a little wild and chaotic, but Wakamotoharu is doing what he needs to stop Takayasu from controlling him. So Wakamotoharu getting low, getting high, trying to grab the belt, getting low again, getting high again, trying to do whatever he can to make it more comfortable for himself and make it so that he can try to relaunch his own attack. And we can see like this is definitely not a favorable position for Wakamotoharu, but he can stall it so that he can get himself into a more favorable position. Hellos? Hello, Sven. I hope you're doing well. So Takayasu is trying to, keep leverage with that inside left, trying to work the outside right onto the belt as well, but it's kind of an awkward position. We could see Wakamotoharu trying to block Takayasu's inside left at the outside right to the armpit, but it's not generating really much of anything. So Wakamotoharu needs to rock himself back and forth to stop the assault from Takayasu. You can see he pulls the entire right side of his body away, and I'm not sure if it makes Takayasu lose the grip here. Which, if it does, that was expertly played. That was very well played. And again, we can just see from here, it's going to be trying to wrestle for control on their respective right sides. The way their chests are lined up too kind of lends the inside lefts to be the controlling factor because they're both leaning their like left shoulders really far in. You can kind of see it how Takayasu's right shoulder is really far back because he's reaching forward with the left. And, turning the shoulders, you just get more distance with that left arm. So, reaching that left arm forward, grabbing the belt like that, and he needs to keep the grip on the belt. Same thing with Wakamotoharu right now, except he doesn't have a grip on the belt, and he's fighting to get it. He does give it up, finally, and Takayasu trying to break the grip with those attacks to the forearm, but Wakamotoharu now locking it in, trying to attack the outside right so Wakamotoharu can get a grip on the belt, but it looks like they're just trading right now. Awkward positions. And like I said, Takayasu, he moves his right leg in a way that makes it harder to grip the belt, which is it's a very small thing, but you have to consider the skin pinching around the belt, making it harder to grab the belt. Need some sleep for an early morning? Well, I hope you get some good sleep, Dark. I hope you have a good night. I'll see you later. Digging deep into his clavicle. Yeah, you can see Takayasu now on the push here, pulling up that left shoulder so he could try to go for a pushing attack, and you can see the belt on Wakamotoharu is quite loose, so it's not as advantageous to be gripping, that one outer layer of the belt. And using that to his advantage, Wakamotoharu survives at the edge even longer, but Takayasu attempting to go for the throw here. Big hop from Wakamotoharu to survive, but eventually getting pulled down because, just too much pressure on that pole, getting wrapped around by Takayasu. It was never meant to be for Wakamotoharu in this match. He was constantly on the back foot the entire way, but the fact that he was able to defend and block so hard against an otherwise fantastic assault from Takayasu was very well played. And you can see, at this point, it's over for Wakamotoharu. He is going to get thrown. Takayasu has both feet on the ground. Wakamotoharu just trying to survive. But Takayasu just pulling that shoulder. He's keeping, that barely anything of a grip on that belt as he goes for the pull and pulls Wakamotoharu down to the ground. Another long Yotsu match. A little less to say about it because they were locked at the same position in the same way for quite a little while. And an early Kachikoshi for Takayasu, and this is only his halfway point. We are very far away from seeing his downfall. Day 9, he goes up against the big boy Aoiyama. Oh, skip too far ahead. Kotonowaka. Hokutofuji. Takayasu be earlier. There he is. Takayasu versus Aoiyama. taking that. That's the and I'm surprised. I thought Aoiyama was. Oh, that's the replay. All right. So, seeing that Takayasu is opting more into the Yotsus or the Oshizumo this tournament, he could probably definitely take Aoiyama on head to head in that Oshizumo. I don't think we got to see them practice against each other at the combo practice, which would have been nice to see. And that was yesterday. We watched combo practice footage, but did get news that Takarafuji showed up to the combo practice on the final day, but we're not talking about that right now. Takayasu versus Aoiyama. Aoiyama down and ready. Aoiyama getting charged all the way back to the edge, but managing to survive, trying to go for the pull down on Takayasu, but Takayasu survives, going for the pull down himself, but Aoiyama charges forward, Takayasu catches him, pushes him back to the middle of the ring, Aoiyama slapping him to the side. Now he's going head to head after a strong initial assault both ways. Stalemated in the middle now. What is the next move? Aoiyama trying to exert control with an outside left underneath the arm of Takayasu. Now going for a pull. Takayasu not letting his leg get kicked out from underneath him as Aoiyama cannot get a pull. And Takayasu gets the push out. So, well fought from both men right there. I can't really say it was incredibly impressive one way or the other. But the fact that it was so fiery and exciting is pretty nice. But step by step, what really happens here is we're going to see Aoiyama down and ready. Aoiyama, I think he has, the better initial angle here. His shoulders are lower, his head is in, and you're not really supposed to charge with your head. You'll learn that in football practice. You'll never want your head down because you'll give yourself a neck injury. That's what happened to Takakeisho. But this is sumo. They don't give a shit about that. Aoiyama charging down and in, but Takayasu catches him. Just really easy, uses that outside right, and you can kind of see how fast it happened too, because that forearm from Aoiyama came in, and as soon as it hit this bicep, the elbow just snapped in, right up into the chest, catching Aoiyama and deflecting the push. So now Takayasu going on the push right here. You can see hands are coming at the face, which Aoiyama does take the step back and is trying to deflect this assault, and you can see the left hand is there, ready to slap away, ready to try to parry, and now we have Aoiyama at the edge, Takayasu taking another big step forward, but not overcommitting to the attack like he usually does. Aoiyama blocking with a forearm to the face and managing to bounce up off the Tawada again, heel right over the sand, a couple inches away from death. Really hard. But Aoiyama managing to survive the attack. We can see here now that Takayasu re-squares himself, recenters his body, and follows up with some good supari to the chest. And we can see leading, hip forward, knee forward, foot moving forward. Right hand is the one doing the assault. Following it up with that, Aoiyama actually manages to get control, gets a grip around the back of the head, not the hair, so no disqualification, no Hansoku here. You might be able to argue that coming up here, Takayasu nearly did overcommit to the attack because Aoiyama almost does get the slap down, but because he survives it, he survives that initial assault, but this is a really bad position to be in. And then from here, Aoiyama gets a really good slap up underneath the arm, but Takayasu follows up with the right. So thinking Aoiyama tried to block that left arm, when in reality, the right arm was coming out like a piston a second later. These movements from Takayasu have been so lightning fast. That has got to hurt that supari to the chest from Takayasu. Aoiyama's still reeling, and from this position, it looks like he's just walking, gently backwards. But we know that Takayasu, he's getting those windmills in again. He's, thrusting to the chest, pulling it back, thrusting again. So all of this pressure on Aoiyama now is relentless. But we could see again, kind of losing his balance on the footing. That left leg, when it plants, it slips back a little bit, so that tells you that he stepped a bit too far forward, didn't have all the momentum he wanted. Now Aoiyama, he almost gets slapped down here as Aoiyama, you could see, he pulled back the arms, and dove himself down and forward to try to, charge forward, which is something that he does a lot and is guilty of. But this time he actually survives the attack, and now Takayasu is going to be the one in danger because Takayasu is not generating enough force to the back of the head, because we could see, even though Aoiyama's center of gravity is going to be a little bit back here, it's not like earlier where his legs were all the way out here and it was just a seesaw getting pushed down. No, his legs are right underneath him, and he's the one walking these legs forward. So now Takayasu on the retreat here, this is not looking good for him, has to get his own head lower than Aoiyama's charge, and this was very risky. If Aoiyama doesn't go low here, like if Aoiyama opts to go high and then go for a smackdown, that's it. But because Aoiyama goes low, he kind of catches Takayasu, who's very clearly he's falling. Look at where his arm is. Look, his arm is back here. He is falling forward to try to get lower than Aoiyama, trusting that Aoiyama is going to meet him and push him back up. And that is a really dangerous play that works out in the end, because Aoiyama does catch him as Takayasu catches that inside left. And now Takayasu is the one to recover off the edge. And Aoiyama, sensing this, tries to go for the pullback. Can't really generate the power he needs. And right here, they're just doing some Oshizumo again. Aoiyama turning Takayasu to the side, but we're going to see Takayasu pulling back this right foot, re-squaring his stance, and then they're going to get locked head to head. So much happening in just the first 10 seconds of that fight, back and forth all over the place. That uses up a lot of stamina, and we know how Takayasu does in stamina matches. Not that anyone is, too gassed at this moment, but having gone back and forth around the ring 2-3 times, you gotta wonder how much energy Aoiyama is still gonna have left. So at this point, they go head to head. They say, all right, let's slow this down. We're not gonna get anywhere if we keep doing this chaotic, stupid dance. So let's slow it down a little bit. Let's take our time here, and let's try to measure out what we're gonna do next. Aoiyama trying to do some shenanigans with his left hand on Takayasu's right. Takayasu trying to maintain the right behind the head, but you can see Aoiyama is generating pressure up underneath the elbow to turn Takayasu to the side like this. You can see his shoulders getting low, but what matters most are those feet are still locked into the ground. Now Takayasu catching Aoiyama, opting into the Yotsuzumo at this point. Aoiyama inside left, not on the belt. Takayasu inside left on the belt. And when he feels this, Aoiyama decides to go for a pull, but Takayasu anticipates it. He follows up with it calmly. And now, meeting each other in the middle of the ring again, Takayasu is exactly where he likes to have his opponent, inside left, outside right, wrapped around that arm, making sure that Aoiyama can't really do anything with this inside left arm. Aoiyama attempting a leg trip there, and that's kind of what throws him off balance here. Takayasu just pulls back away from it, and that's what makes the leg trip super risky when it comes to trying to use that as a kimarise. Very risky. And here Aoiyama gets the negative end of it. So pulling back now, losing his balance, stepping all the way back to the Tawada, and Takayasu simply gets lower underneath the chest and pushes Aoiyama out of the ring.
Wow, another exciting match. This one ending in victory.
You done playing Ark? Okay.
That's the third highlight.
I'm probably going to be done within the hour. Yeah, I know. We had a good workout the other day. Don't worry, we have 2 rest days. Tomorrow's a rest day too. Day 10, we go into Takayasu fighting against the Joy. It's a Takanosho versus Uda.
No, love it, live it.
Takayasu versus Hoshoryu, the nephew.
70, it is more than almost guaranteed that at least one of us has the same birthday.
This is another matchup that is basically old versus new, the young versus the veteran. How does Takayasu stand against the nephew of Asa Shoryu?
You got the best birthday guys in the chat right now.
Does this veteran still have what it takes, or will he be dethroned by this younger lion who wants to lead the pack? The pride, as it may. Takayasu catching Hoshoryu, but Hoshoryu getting a good push forward. Can't finish off Takayasu at the edge. Takayasu using that strong outside left to completely nullify the inside right from Hoshoryu, who tries to use it to get leverage for a throw, but it's not going to work. Takayasu making sure Hoshoryu can't do anything with the inside. And now Takayasu is the one going for a throw as Hoshoryu tries to push forward, tries to pull forward, tries to push forward again, but Takayasu blocks at every single step. And now they are head to head yet again. Hoshoryu going for a pull down, but Takayasu survives it yet again. And Takayasu has been on the defensive the whole time, but now getting the outside left. He can go for a throw here. Hoshoryu not in the best position. We could see Takayasu locking in. Oh, Hoshoryu makes the mistake of pulling away that right arm. Now Takayasu has it around the back. Hoshoryu to the side. Really nowhere to go from here as Takayasu tosses him out of the ring. 10-0 for the veteran here. And truthfully, that was a not too exciting match. I didn't think it was incredibly exciting from Takayasu's end because he was on the defensive the whole way until Hoshoryu makes that fatal mistake at the very end. But you can see Takayasu catching Hoshoryu here. That's outside right. It's getting blocked by Hoshoryu's inside left, and that allows Hoshoryu to wrestle those arms in deeper and push forward, nearly having the double inside straight from the Tachi. But he opts to pull out the left arm, which does give Takayasu some quarter, and that is Hoshoryu's first mistake. Takayasu, I think he just simply lost off the Tachi, but because Hoshoryu did not try to maintain that inside left to try to, keep that double inside, that saves Takayasu at the edge here. And so Takayasu, still being pushed back, is trying to use this outside right to lock Hoshoryu's arm into a useless position, which he does for quite a while. Like I mentioned, at full speed, Hoshoryu is trying to use his right arm now for some leverage so he can rock Takayasu to the side, but Takayasu sees that coming. Takayasu is the one with the inside right as well. And again, look at his stance. He is very wide stance, is able to shuffle in time to catch himself from falling. So now, Hoshoryu still trying to rock him back and forth. Hoshoryu still trying to make something work with that almost useless inside right, trying to do whatever he can, going for a pull, going for a throw, but Takayasu is just blocking at every single step. Takayasu, the way he's leaning forward, he has his head down into the clavicle of Hoshoryu, so it's going to be pretty hard to get this man off of your chest.
Get some leverage back, trying to slow this down and make it into his
Excuse me. But here we see Takayasu actually opts for the throw because we can see he has locked his hands together. And it is a very quick frame here, but we can see that he has locked his hands together in trying to get all of the coverage around Hoshoryu's arm here just so he can pull him and go for the throw. But unfortunately for him, it doesn't work. Hoshoryu's stance is really wide, slides all the way back to the Tawada, manages to maintain himself. And now Takayasu on the retreat here, but he maintains stability. He maintains that wide stance that we love to talk about. Now Hoshoryu pulls away that inside right, that only advantage, air quote, that he had, pulls it away to try to go for this slap down attempt. And it really is nothing doing. Takayasu simply just shifts his hips and shifts his gaze. Like we can see, he turned his hips, turned his shoulders, and now locking eyes with Hoshoryu. So from here, again, Takayasu simply catches Hoshoryu in the charge, keeps those elbows down, at left especially, down and in, making the inside right from Hoshoryu as useless as it possibly can be, whereas he's trying to, stay head-to-head here, maintaining with that inside right on the shoulder, keeping Hoshoryu at an arm's length, trying to take it to stamina, but again, Hoshoryu going for another pull slap down attempt, not going to work against Takayasu. He plants this foot over here. Oh, excuse me again. Stabilizes, and this time the recharge from Hoshoryu is a little lazier. It doesn't have as much fire as it usually does, and we can see that again here. Takayasu getting pulled. Hoshoryu sees that it didn't really do much, and he tries to recharge, re-attack right now, but Takayasu, again, you can see right hand underneath the tricep, left forearm blocking Hoshoryu's right. It's just all defense right now from Takayasu, and he is performing it expertly. Hoshoryu trying to get inside yet again, but Takayasu locking in that outside left, locking in the inside right, and now this is the Yotsu that he likes to have. Takayasu in control at this point, and you can see Takayasu is the one in control because he has Hoshoryu, whether this may be a Hoshoryu's idea or not, but we can see Hoshoryu, his hips and his shoulders are square going that way, and his opponent is this way. So not in a good position at all, and you can even tell, like I say, the feet always tell the story too. That foot is pointed this way, which goes through Takayasu's front foot, and should be pointed at his opponent to go through Takayasu's body. That's how you know he's not in the right position, and that's how you know Takayasu is now the one in control, has all of the leverage here. We'll see in just a moment, right there. Hoshoryu tries to switch the grip to the outside so he can try to break Takayasu's grip on this now inside left, but it does nothing, and Takayasu pushes his chest so close to Hoshoryu's body that Hoshoryu can't re-get the right arm inside, and at this point it's all over. At this point, Takayasu simply wins. But of course there is a little bit of match left as Takayasu tries to go for around the back, Hoshoryu attempting to go for a throw, but again, look at the position here. The feet are wider, the hips are low, the knees are bent. Takayasu is not moving for anything except for whatever he wants to do himself, and he is going to walk it forward, stand up Hoshoryu, and shove him out of the ring. Oh man, I am really getting tired. I'm not going to try to blitz through these last few matches, because that would be a disservice to them, but we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more matches to go, and I'm going to continue doing my best through these. So, day 11 is going to be a match that we already covered in the Wakatakakage video. Takayasu's first loss. That's Takanosho. Takayasu versus Wakatakakage. And I was saying earlier, it's not like we've seen incredibly amazing wins from Takayasu early on in the tournament, but coming into the middle of the tournament, he's had more impressive wins. He's been looking better and better. Even against Hoshoryu, where he was on the defensive most of the time, he looked really good. Wakatakakage, though, is about to shock his world, though, and deal out the first loss, and this time we will talk about it from Takayasu's perspective. Oops. My bad. Takayasu taking the charge, but Wakataka getting those arms up and inside. Takayasu trying to fight forward, but the forearm to the face is not doing much, and now he's forced into double outside, which is a very uncomfortable position to be in. and Wakataka is going to walk it forward for the easy win. So what goes wrong for Takayasu in this match? The Tachi is where you win and lose 90% of your matches, and this is where Takayasu loses it. Right here, Wakatakakage, this inside right, down and dug deep. Takayasu's outside left, not really doing much to counter or parry or block that. And from here, Wakataka pulls back the outside right and re-slaps the outside of Takayasu. Takayasu has the inside right now, or the inside left now. Can't really tell what's going on the other side. But instead of trying to go low for the belt, Takayasu opts to go high, which is something that has worked out for him in this basho, going for the face like that. So it's not like it's a bad option. But when he pulls back for the next assault, look at where Wakatakakage's hands are. Like, Takayasu already had the outside right kind of locked into that. And he did have the inside left to Wakataka's face. But when he pulls back to try to, go for another assault, when he pulls back this arm, Waka simply slips that arm up under the armpit, and now, whoopsies, I gave up a double inside grip. How am I going to try to break this? Well, Wakataka is actually the one to break it, because he tries to go for a pullback and, try to meet Takayasu more in Takayasu's charge. And Takayasu, charging forward, is getting his arm lifted up by Wakataka. So you could say Wakataka hopped back to try to get better leverage under the armpits because his arms were not in the best position. So Takayasu, taking the bait, walks it forward and lets Wakatakakage get both of these arms underneath his armpits. And from here, this is where the struggle really begins, because now Takayasu has his outside left on the rib cage. That right hand is trying to fight for the inside, but similar to how Takayasu does it, Wakatakakage's left elbow is down and in, and, it's not going to be moving. It's going to be very hard to move. Takayasu has to fight to try to get one of these arms inside, and, well, it's definitely not going to be his left one. That outside left, that inside right from Wakataka looks like it's going to be locked in right now. And from here, Wakataka using the outside left to get a lot of leverage. Like, Wakataka is going so much lower than Takayasu is and does. So when Wakataka gets low, pushes the hips forward, like I mentioned earlier for Takayasu, he's going to push the hips forward and push up Takayasu, which is going to force Takayasu's own arm to come up and pop out. And now Takayasu is forced into the double outside. Because even though he has that right forearm to the face, Wakataka is already locking in the inside left underneath the armpit. And from here, Takayasu loses it. So just really, I think Takayasu was mentally outplayed here. He played right into Wakataka's trap. When Wakataka stepped back to regain his own... Excuse me. There we go. To regain his own positioning, Takayasu pushed forward with his elbows out, with his arms up, and that's what, he let himself get caught in that trap. Because from here, double inside for Wakataka, and he is going to push it forward. It is very, very difficult, no matter who you are, to win with a double outside. And not even Takayasu could pull it off. So now that he's been dealt his first loss, how is he going to perform against Mitakeumi, the Ozeki? Both of the top Ozeki. Not these Ozeki. That's not an Ozeki. Then Wakatakakage. So in the match of the day, Takayasu versus Mitakeumi. Mitakeumi needed the win here to stay in the Yusho race. Takayasu needs the win here to prove to himself that he is not going to collapse when he had the Yusho lead. Which, spoiler alert, he collapses. But Takayasu versus Mitakeumi, a very one-sided head-to-head in favor of Takayasu. Thank you so much for your subscription, Despa. 14 months of subscribing. Very loyal. Thank you so much. You are just in time for the... Which match did I say? The 12th match of Takayasu in this breakdown. Today's match of the day. Mitakeumi going high to meet Takayasu, but Takayasu with the inside right, outside left, the outside left, elbow in, making sure Mitakeumi's right arm can't do much. Takayasu in full control right here. Mitakeumi probing with that inside right, can't really do anything. Takayasu's inside right, kind of equally as useless, but Takayasu's outside left is what gets him all of the leverage there. And, well, that is how it happens. And again, this is just won and lost off the Tachi-ai. Takayasu, right off the Tachi-ai, you can see it immediately. Well, maybe not from this camera angle, but once they zoom out, you can see... Come on, zoom out, please. You can see he has the inside right, outside left, and Mitakeumi's trying to match it, but it's about the quality of those inside right, outside lefts. The outside left from Takayasu is down and on the belt, whereas Mitakeumi's outside left is flailing around. The inside right from Takayasu is up underneath the armpit, controlling Mitakeumi's left arm, whereas the inside right from Mitakeumi is wrapped around the back, not gripping the belt, not doing anything. Outside left, inside right, Mitakeumi doing the same, but I think Mitakeumi's grip is worse. He doesn't have a grip on the belt. And, I mean... There really isn't much else to analyze from here because Takayasu, just with that outside left, it is a much higher quality outside left. He has the grip on the belt. He has the elbow down in to force Mitakeumi's right hand to be completely useless. And, I mean, Mitakeumi's trying to salvage this terrible position, but there really isn't much he can do. Takayasu going to bring down the hips, push them forward to leverage Mitakeumi up and out of the ring. And they zoom out for a more dramatic camera angle, but in reality it just serves to be kind of annoying as Mitakeumi keeps trying to wrestle that outside left into a better position, but it just gives Takayasu the better belly-to-belly push forward, and the win for Takayasu. As we move into day 13, where he will fight the second of 3 Ozeki. Here we go. Takayasu versus Takakeisho. Takayasu getting the forearm to the face of Takakeisho. Takakeisho trying to keep him away, but Takayasu staying close enough that he can still manhandle Takakeisho. Takakeisho not really making the distance that he likes to make. Takayasu dancing around the ring wildly, and Takakeisho really slowing down. Slap to the side twice. Takayasu getting caught now. Takakeisho completely gassed, tossed to the side. I've been talking too much. But yeah, this was this match is just a classic case of Takakeishoism, where he completely runs out of gas, and, you know, he is very one-dimensional sumo wrestler. If he doesn't win off the Tachi-ai, then he doesn't win the match. So, Takakeisho going even at the Tachi-ai here, like, Takayasu catches him. That right arm, kind of useless. You could see it swung up, and he's pulling it back down to try to salvage it, but that left forearm to Takakeisho's throat is really what's stopping this charge. And to Takayasu, every single charge after, meeting Takakeisho in a way that doesn't allow Takakeisho to get the pushes that he wants. Like right there, Takayasu stumbles forward into Takakeisho, and Takakeisho doesn't want that. Takakeisho doesn't want Yotsuzumo. Because even though Takakeisho has like a pretty good position for the inside left here, he doesn't want that. He wants to generate distance. So Takakeisho pushes Takayasu away, and then tries to follow up with some more Oshizumo. Hello, bear. Tries to follow up with some more Oshizumo. Excuse me. I'm pretty gassy tonight, I'm sorry. Tries to follow some more Oshizumo, but Takayasu catches him and, like I mentioned much earlier in the evening, using this left knee up into the crotch of Takakeisho to stop the assault, or at least assuage some of the pressure. So Takayasu, even though he's getting turned to the side, he is the one stopping every single attack. He has the forearm again to the face. The one that I said was not doing work earlier in this tournament is now doing work against Takakeisho. So that forearm to the throat, that wrist to the throat, stopping Takakeisho completely in his tracks because Takakeisho wants to be the one on the offense at a distance like this. Every time Takayasu parries him, Takakeisho loses gas. And every time Takakeisho loses gas, the happier Takayasu is. So from here, we see Takakeisho kind of getting gripped by Takayasu's arms, and Takakeisho doesn't really want that. Takayasu opts into the Oshizumo himself and starts slapping Takakeisho in the face as well, trying to go at it on his own terms. And Takakeisho is the one being manhandled now. You can see Takayasu getting a thumb in the mouth of Takakeisho right there as Takakeisho slaps the arm away. But Takayasu following it up, a chaotic attack to the face of Takakeisho, but he can afford to be a little chaotic here because he's the one that has Takakeisho on the ropes. He is the one that has Takakeisho reeling from this attack. So now, Takakeisho, trying to recover, tries to get hands to the face, but Takayasu blocks and parries at every step. A little bit dangerous on his footing there. He was on his toes in a weird position. His knee could have buckled underneath him, but Takayasu keeps the stance, keeps the footing. Excuse me again. And Takayasu withstands the assault. So now Takakeisho getting slapped and sidestepped. Getting sidestepped again right here. And this is Takayasu tactical retreats from these strong assaults. He's trying to run Takakeisho around the ring to make him lose a lot of energy because, like I said, Takakeisho, every failed attack, he loses gas, and he is one of the lowest stamina Rikishi in this top division. So Takayasu deflecting the attack, going off to the side right there, catching Takakeisho. And you can see, even on that last charge, Takakeisho was so incredibly sluggish that these hands to the face are enough to stop him with Takayasu. So Takakeisho getting dodged again right there, getting sidestepped again a third time by Takayasu. A little excessive at that point, I think, but Takayasu does want center ring. He wants to be in the best position he can be, so that when Takakeisho does try to meet him again, he just goes down head to head, lets Takakeisho push forward, and like that pull was so lazy. That pull was so lazy from Takakeisho. Takayasu just walking it forward, gets the grip on the belt, and, well, that's the kill shot. That's the loss. Takakeisho lost all of his energy and then just let Takayasu win it from there. And that was another situation of maximum defense from Takayasu. We saw it against Hoshoryu. We see it again here against Takakeisho. Maximum defense, and he wins because his man just runs completely out of gas. So another well-fought win from Takayasu as we go into day 14 against Shodai. Of course, I live for the sumo drama. And the drama was high here. Takayasu. Ooh, pardon. Takayasu could have won the Yusho on this day. Shodai for spoiler, you got it, boss. Actually, no, I think that's a lie. What was the what was it looking like on day 14? The Yusho increases by oh, it was just if he wins today, then he has an incredibly high chance of, winning the Yusho on day 15. Because he needed to win here and then have Wakatakakage lose to secure the bag. Falling to Sekiwake. And even if he does lose here, he can still win. So a lot of pressure on Takayasu's shoulders right here. He just needs to win this one, and then hope Wakatakakage loses in the Musubi no Ichiban, and he wins it day 14. Speakers towel. But we know how the cookie crumbles. Takayasu versus Shodai, who decided to take a break the first few days of the tournament and then just show up again. Shodai down and ready. Takayasu getting caught by Shodai, and Shodai trying to wrestle for that inside right. Takayasu with a really strong charge forward, but Takayasu getting tossed to the side in Shodai-esque style at the edge for the win. So a short match, and you have to wonder what went wrong here. Takayasu has a good tachi here. He immediately gets the outside left on the belt. Shodai's inside right is not doing too much, but Shodai does have the better push. So you have to wonder, is Takayasu the one getting out-muscled here? But then you see Takayasu using the grip he has on the left. He pulls up this shoulder and brings down this one to rock Shodai way off balance so he can turn and go for an attack himself, which he does. And while moving forward, Shodai at the edge, like, oh my god. Look at this tippy toe. Shodai actually, like, if he accidentally went like a centimeter higher on that step back, he just loses. Like, that's insane. That tippy toe saves the life of Shodai. And then at the edge here, Takayasu getting stood up. He still has a good grip on the outside left, but Shodai, using all of the leverage he has, and I've said it once, I'll say it again, he pushes the hips forward, lifts his opponent up, and then uses this to toss Takayasu to the side. So how does Takayasu lose from this position exactly? He got pushed up so that he was stood up straight. He brought this right foot back, and you could see he brought the right foot back and then got pulled forward this way, where now he doesn't have his right foot forward. He doesn't have that stable footing. He gets thrown out of the ring.
Shodai is no longer Kadoban.
I just want to see that again at full speed, though, because, like, that was a wildly bad loss for Takayasu. And again, Shodai's toes saving his life. That was insane. Now, with Wakatakakage winning later this evening, destiny has to be decided on day 15.
Giving the winner of the next match a chance at a...
So here we will have Abi. Oh wait, no. This is too late. We have, let's see, where is it?
We will predict that as with so many head-to-head between them is an even.
It's a little too Now we just have to find the match. Day 15 coming into it. We know what the stakes are. Takakeisho and Aoiyama, Kotonowaka, Hoshoryu. Kotonowaka is fantastic, though. You gotta love him. Takayasu, excuse me, versus Abi. Abi needs the win to maintain Sekiwake and hopefully push for Ozeki if he gets like 14 wins, which I don't think they'll consider him anyway because he only had an 8-win March. Takayasu needs the win in order to win the Yusho, or at least have a better chance of winning it. Excuse me. Takayasu takes the charge, but Abi just charging straight through him, turns Takayasu around, and he gets splattered onto the ground. Like, that was nasty looking. Abi taking that win. really harshly out of Takayasu's hands. And said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll say it again in the future. You win and lose off the Tachi-ai, and this time around, Takayasu had no Tachi-ai. You could see how amazing Abi's stance is right here. He's doing the windmill on that right arm, gonna charge it back, and then boom, right to the face again. Takayasu has no idea how to withstand this attack now, so he's reeling backwards. Abi going down, getting hands inside to the chest, double inside, and Takayasu out-muscled off the Tachi-ai, completely stunned off the Tachi-ai, completely unprepared for this match. Like, he has the chance to save himself at the edge here, but look at, like, his shoulders. Look at his positioning. His shoulders are facing, this way. His hips are facing this way. His feet are wide, and, like, this is a good lower body stance that you would usually like to see, but this right arm flying backwards is pulling his shoulder back, which is putting him in such a terrible position that he can't really recover from. And Abi, all he has to do is follow up on the attack, and Takayasu gets completely turned around, completely blindsided by Abi in this match. And, like, yowza, what a match from Abi. Takayasu didn't stand a chance. But that is not the end of the story. We still have Takayasu versus Wakatakakage in the playoff, because Wakatakakage lost his match too. Who is going to be the first-time winner? Former Ozeki Takayasu reached Ozeki without earning a Yusho, which is quite rare for Ozeki. Even Shodai take it. Wakatakakage versus Takayasu, as told from Takayasu's perspective. Wakatakakage and Takayasu. Takayasu, a really strong charge forward, but Wakatakakage deflected it. Takayasu still has a good inside left, but Wakataka going for the pull around the ring. Takayasu trying to get those inside arms, but the attack is far too chaotic. Overcommits to the attack at the edge, and then he gets thrown down and out of the ring. Gotta listen to that full speed again, full volume. Takayasu. Whoa, what a charge from Takayasu, but Wakatakakage manages to survive it. Forearm to the face, not gonna work. Takayasu doesn't get thrown down. Wakataka at the edge now. Takayasu trying to fight back, but Wakataka is on the push, trying to slap him down. At the edge, Wakataka trying to fall, but no! It's Wakatakakage! I love that. I'm so good at commentating. I'm really good at what I do. So anyway, last match of the tournament for the Yusho. We could see straight off the Tachi-ai, Takayasu charges forward, but Wakataka, hold on, I have to see that again. Wakatakakage completely deflects it, and I'm not sure how he does it. It's been a while since I've watched this match. Yeah, you can see Wakatakakage lifts his left foot and pulls it back around to completely deflect all of the pressure from Takayasu's charge. And now, on the recharge, Wakatakakage is able to get to the side of Takayasu here, which usually Takayasu likes this position because he likes digging the left arm deep into the belt and having that right shoulder back to control the left arm of his opponent. But Wakatakakage doesn't give him the opportunity, nor does Takayasu give himself the opportunity. He opts for the forearm to the face to try to stop Wakatakakage's attack instead of opting for his usual Yotsuzumo. So Takayasu, getting the hand to the chest, is indeed pushing Wakataka back, but Wakataka has the head to the collarbone, dug deep into that shoulder right there. It's going to be difficult to try to pop Wakataka up. And Takayasu might be thinking about what happened the last time, doesn't want to give up another double inside, so it's gonna be difficult for... my goodness, I don't know where these hiccups were coming from now. So it's gonna be difficult for Takayasu here, who does have this inside right now, but Wakatakakage is controlling Takayasu's inside right with his own outside left. So Takayasu opts to lift his forearm up to the face. Wakataka responds by lifting the arm up further to try to parry it and push it up and off of his own body. Like you can see right here, this hand right here lifting Takayasu's arm up and away, even though Takayasu wants the upward pressure into Wakataka's face. So a little give and take here, but eventually it works out for Wakataka because Takayasu pulls back that right arm and digs in deep with that left. Again, the position that Takayasu likes, but Wakataka takes advantage of it and goes for the pulling attack, goes for the Katasakashi. The only reason why Takayasu doesn't fall to it is because of the grip on the belt right here. If Takayasu doesn't have that grip, or if he loses the grip during this, then he probably gets thrown down and rolled right here. But because he has that grip, he's able to maintain the pressure because he's able to be pulled along by Wakataka, who wants to throw him down, but is actually just taking Takayasu for a ride. So, oops, that's a lot of artifacting. So, Takayasu maintaining that balance against all of that pulling pressure, maintaining the stance. His feet aren't as wide as you would like to see them. Then again, neither are Wakatakakage's. As Wakataka gets low once again, Takayasu, though, meets him there. Again, wide stance, toes pointed outward so he doesn't get pushed back. He's not nearly as low as Waka, but it's not like he opts for anything because Wakataka continues his backwards assault. He steps back, tries, and then uses the Tawada to push forward again into Takayasu's chest, who meets him with more Tsupari. Takayasu now is trying to control him, but every single time, like you can kind of see, Wakataka has an arm coming up into like that armpit, that shoulder, that bicep of Takayasu, which is forcing Takayasu's arm to be up and out here, looking like he's scratching his own head like a monkey. So unfavorable position for Takayasu, who's still trying to get something going on the inside. Unfortunately for him, Wakataka never lets him buy the belt, does not let him get to the belt, like at all. And now Takayasu has to wonder how he's going to try to get inside. Wakataka continues on the assault forward, continues pushing forward, and Takayasu, like, again, that's a singular moment. Like, this isn't a position that he dislikes. Like, Takayasu doesn't dislike being in this position, but Wakataka is just so wild on the attack that he can't steady himself, and that's the key. Takayasu was never allowed to steady himself in this match, while Wakatakakage was allowed to basically run hog wild. So now here, when Wakataka goes for the pulling attack, Takayasu wants to take advantage of the pull, goes for the push here, and then in classic fashion, you could see overcommitting to the attack. That arm is fully extended and hitting nothing. His right arm, like out there doing nothing, his hips turned in the wrong direction, his shoulders facing a direction that his opponent is not, his feet are wide, but where they're facing, like where he's moving, is not where Wakatakakage is. Completely deflected again is Takayasu, and even though he stumbles into, like he's charging that shoulder into Wakatakakage here, Takayasu, again, he just gets deflected. Wakataka grabs the belt, and from here, like you could see Takayasu just pushing forward, last ditch effort with that left arm to the stomach of Wakataka. But from this position, it's like what happened earlier. His center of gravity is too far behind him. He's going to get pushed down right here because Wakataka has this hand to the back, and he is going to stumble forward and fall out of the ring. You could mark it up to that final attack being, you know, overzealous. And if he were to instead take a step back here, then perhaps he doesn't fall. But because he opts to push forward, or rather, he's not even pushing forward, he's getting pulled. So you have to wonder now, was Takayasu ever in control in this match? He was completely dragged around the ring by Wakatakakage the whole time, because you can kind of see it. Takayasu's arm like this, and Wakataka, he has his hand on the wrist. He is pulling Takayasu out and escorting him with that right hand on the belt. So that wasn't even a Takayasu push. That was a Wakatakakage pull. Was Takayasu ever in control at any point during this match? And I think the answer is no. Wakataka was constantly the one moving around, forcing Takayasu to move around in the way that he wanted. And even though Takayasu put up a good fight, you have to wonder if the pressure got to him. And like even right there, hold on. Right here, when Takayasu is walking forward to pursue Wakataka, like he doesn't, you could argue that he's getting pulled right here, but he doesn't need to take these steps to pursue. He could stop himself right here and then recalculate. Because this is the exact moment where Takayasu loses. This is the exact moment where he gets too overzealous and tries to pursue on an attack that he cannot commit to, that he should not commit to. That's the exact moment. Because if he resettles himself, resettles his footing right here, and even if, you know, Wakatakakage dances around the side of the ring to try to recover in either direction, Takayasu has center stage. He has the center of the ring. He can slow down the match himself, but he gets caught up in Wakatakakage's rhythm, and he allows himself to commit to this attack because he feels like, oh, he's at the edge, I'm moving forward, I gotta go for it, this is the last chance, and it's not even. Wakatakakage in full control the entire way through, and this is the epitome of Takayasu's tournament. He fell into this attack. He was baited into taking bad attacks, and he was fully controlled from start to finish in this 16th match. And it is unfortunate, but that is how the cookie crumbles for some guys. So, with that, that is going to be it from me. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good day. If you were watching here on Twitch, thank you for joining us. I hope you had a good time. And if you missed any of it, you can be sure to follow us on YouTube as well. We are going to be raiding into... let's see. Let's raid into DJ Ansi. And I'm going to cut the recording at this point. So again, thank you for watching. If you were watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below if you liked what you saw, and if you have any feedback about my analysis.